Hey everyone, Kimberly Sulford here with the Kids Money Project. I hope you're having a fantastic day and welcome to Mommies and Money. I'm here as always with Paula Weiss of CNS Insurance. How are you doing, Paula?
I am doing great. Happy Wednesday.
Yes, happy Wednesday.
Yes.
But so we are here. Oh, go ahead. You
I
look
was
like you
going to
had something
say
you wanted to add.
it's a beautiful day out, a little bit chillier than what I had anticipated, but beautiful day here in Plano.
Well,
So
our weather's always kind of a crazy one. We were, what, 90 degrees the other day, and I
mhm,
know this morning I woke up and it was like 48. So I'm like, somebody needs to just figure
yeah,
out what they wanted and stick to it.
that's it. Just a
Oh,
little
I
bit.
don't know how many times I've changed from heat to back to AC. My system's like, I don't know what you want.
So leave me alone, and that's it. So yes, but thank God we didn't have the 5-inch hail that they had down in San Antonio. So
Oh, yeah, no joke. Well, and all the tornadoes that were kind of bouncing around.
yeah,
So
so that
very, very fortunate in that regard. So.
and hopefully everybody recovers from that quickly.
Yes, absolutely. It got a little nasty in some places for
Mhm,
sure.
yeah.
And we hope none of you were,
Mhm.
victims of any of that. If you are, good luck to you, and I hope you're
Good
safe now.
thoughts. Good
Yes,
thoughts, and, healing. So yeah, it's out there. So we
absolutely.
want to share with you some ideas because as you're spending money to recoup, and granted, some of it might be insurance related, there are going to be costs that are not included in that. And it's how you use your credit cards and compounded interest. So
Yes.
go ahead, Kimberly. I know you're
Well,
ready to rock and roll.
well, we are actually going to go a little different today, and we are going to kind of do a little presentation style more. So I am actually going to share my screen here, and hopefully you can see that. Do you see that, Paula?
I can see that.
All
Absolutely.
right. So today we actually wanted to talk a little bit about paying down your credit card debt and how you're actually paying down that credit card debt, because there are some different ways to do it, and there are some vast differences in what actually happens when you pay it down in some different ways, and whether or not compounding interest is really working against you. So uh basically, and see, here it goes. There we
And
go.
I think that's one of the things we need to talk about. The key in this is compounding interest. There's a good side and a bad side. So we're going to share with you the negative impact on how compounding interest works on your credit cards.
Right. So, as we know, most Americans do have some sort of credit card debt.
Mhm.
Um, and so, this is just kind of a broad overview of debt in the United States right now. And so, um, what I did is kind of pulled up where it says credit cards there and revolving. That is actually the average that most Americans leave on their credit card every single month. So, that is not actually the amount that is charged on their card. That is what's actually left after paying that bill. So that's over $7,000 on average, so more in a lot of cases,
Yes.
that is left on credit cards every month, taking on that interest. And as you can see, interest can range anywhere. I actually don't know what the low end, I'm guessing probably 8 or 9% is a low
Um,
interest rate for a credit card.
Very, on a credit card, yeah, you have to pay a lot of money to get that an annual fee or something because I don't ever remember seeing it quite that low.
Yeah, I think I had one, but I mean, I'm sitting here thinking and realizing that was probably like 20 or 25 years ago. So, yeah, it probably is not now.
Mhm.
But so whatever the low end is, right now the average in 2021 is actually 16.28%. But with many much higher, can actually go as high as 36%, which just seems like it should almost be illegal, but
Yeah.
um
And you
yeah,
see that on the specialty stores like
yes.
your Loft and Taylor and that type of credit. You don't necessarily see that on your Visa or your MasterCard or anything else. It tends to be a credit card from a store, a
Right.
proprietary credit card.
Well, and another thing to remember is your credit cards, your Visa and MasterCards that have specialty things like rewards or cash back, airline miles, things like that tend to have higher ones that are probably anywhere from 19 to 22%, and even possibly higher. But they're giving those rewards, so they're going to make up that money somewhere. And so they are going to tend to be higher as well.
Right.
So, and so we'll just kind of move on that, really the only thing worse than having credit card debt is actually only making that minimum payment, which is what we're going to kind of stress on here today is that minimum payment.
I think we need to touch base on the minimum payment just because people think they don't know where it's allocated and they don't realize, and I think the next slide will show, is that 3/4 of it is going to your interest, not on your principal.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely. And I
yeah,
mean, if you're paying only that minimum payment, it could actually take you decades. And we're talking, 3+ decades to actually pay off these balances if you're only paying off minimums. And then also costs you anywhere from 3 to 4 times, depending on what that APR is. You're talking about a sizable amount more that you're paying back on that original debt. So here we kind of wanted to just go through a little bit on how your minimum balance or how that minimum payment is actually generated. So on average, and we didn't go through every single credit card. All of them are going to be some variation of this, but very similar. But it's going to depend on how much you owe and what that card issuer does themselves. So if you owe what they call a lot, which is anything over $1,000, it's going to be calculated based on your balance, and it'll be anywhere from 1 to 3%, with two being basically the average and what is generally uh, used to calculate that minimum balance or that minimum payment. And if you owe anywhere between about $25 and $1,000, so that kind of that middle range, it's probably going to be a fixed dollar amount, and it'll be whatever the amount that that card issuer is kind of their minimum, which is oftentimes about $25. And I know I've personally seen that on my credit cards before, so that does seem to be a very common amount. But if you think about, let's say your balance was $950, $25 is next to nothing.
why, yeah, why bother? Not that you
Right.
don't pay it, but it's like, I'm sure you have more than $25 to go ahead and pay that credit card almost offer better than the minimum. And
Absolutely.
and I guess we have to understand that the minimum is to the retailer's benefit. They want something, but to them, it's actually better if you don't.
Oh,
Sometimes you're actually rewarded for carrying the balance because you show that you've got good payment history. But if you look at how you're using your dollars, it's not effective for your bottom line.
absolutely. And then if you owe less than $25, it's probably just going to be that full amount that you owe. So if it's $16.27, that's going to be your minimum payment. So we wanted to take a closer look at a scenario. So we're going to take 10,000, and we picked that because it's sadly close to what a lot of people are carrying on their credit cards, but also because it's a little easier to just do the math and kind of see it. So let's just take that you have $10,000. That's your credit card debt right now. Now, we really, really, really want to stress this next point.
That should be flashing in the middle. I don't know how else to do it. This is, you didn't add another charge to this $10,000. So you've got this $10,000 debt. Remember, the credit card's sitting here, but you're not using it. So we're going to talk about the original $10,000 you did.
This is money you've already spent. It's already on your card, and you are no longer even probably carrying that card because you can't charge anything to it at this point. You are maxed out. And so we wanted to take a look at that. So remember, no additional charges, not another dime is put onto this card. We're going to take the average in 2021 APR, which is at 16.28%. And then we're going to use that minimum payment percentage. That's the average, which was 2%. And so we wanted to look at how long it would actually take you to pay off that 10,000,
Mhm.
and also just how much you'd actually pay
Yeah.
on that 10,000.
So kind of in your brain, before we go to the next slide, take a guess of how long you think it's going to take to make this happen, to be whole on this card, to pay this off.
It's frankly, it's scary.
Yes.
So that 10,000, you are going to pay over $19,000 just in interest alone on that original. So double the
Hmm.
what you actually spent is now interest that you're going to pay. So
Hmm.
you're going to actually pay back just under $30,000. So $29,049.68.
On your $10,000 where there was no appreciation, no, nothing good, nothing positive, that you went ahead and threw out $19,000 out of your hard-earned money to pay off this credit card.
Well, think about that, $50 pair of shoes that you bought on there. What
You
did that
probably don't have
50
them.
well, what did that $50 pair of shoes actually cost you after all that?
Mhm.
And then look at that time frame, 30 plus years to pay off that amount. 30 plus years. And that's where I think a lot of people think, how is that even possible? So here we're going to kind of break down and show you what happens. And I could not even get a calculator to calculate it all the way out. It would not go to 30 years for me. It would only go as far as 10. Um, but as you can see, month one, that $10,000 that you have, that 2%, so you're going to make a $200 payment for it. $135.67 is going, again, just to the interest
Right.
on that 10,000. And then your principal, the part that you actually, purchased, is $64.33, which brings your balance only down to $9,935.67.
Can you see those numbers? Does that help register how this works? Well, I picked the minimum. It's okay. They tell me I don't have to pay any more. They're not looking out for your best interest.
Yes. Well, and you can kind of see what happens over time. So, you drop down to that 1 year. Again, your balance is still over $9,000. It's 9254 after a year. And but 2 years you're down to about 8,500. 5 years you're down to about 60, actually almost about 6,800. And then at 10 years into this, you are over halfway paid off on your balance. So you're probably sitting there thinking, well, then how is it going to take me 30 years or 30 plus 30 years to actually pay this off? But what you need to look at here is what you're actually now making payment wise. Remember, your first payment was $200, that 2%. But now you are actually paying less than half of that. So $92.79 at, month 120 is
Mm.
what your minimum payment is now. So that makes, that's how it's taking as long as it is because your minimum payment is dropping less and less and less.
Well, I guess the secret really is when you look at your bill and you look at what the interest is, if you don't pay that plus X amount of dollars, you're never going to get ahead of the game
Mhm.
because some people don't even pay enough to pay off their interest
Yes.
on each minimum payment.
Yeah. And remember, that's pretty much what that minimum payment is all about. They're trying to get their interest. They're getting their money that they have in some sense loaned to you. And
Mhm.
so they're going to make sure they get that. They don't really care if you pay off your principal balance or not. The
Right.
longer you leave it there, the more money they make. So, remember they're taking care of themselves. They're not going to take care of you.
And I like your bottom line in red is because a lot of people with their $10,000, when they think they brought it down by 100, they turn around and charge it again up to the 10,000. So you need to stop charging on a card that is charging you the interest rate that we, you know, assumed is being quoted right here.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
But that cut up that card.
That's right. So we wanted to actually look at just another scenario that might help you understand that a little bit better. So we're going to take the exact scenario that we had before. So that 10,000, same credit card APR, same minimum percentage rate. But this time, instead of just paying that minimum balance, we're going to make a flat $200 payment every month. So that very first one was $200, but month two, month three, month 120, we're still going to be making that $200 payment. Cool thing is, you're not going to get to month 120 doing that. So
Yeah.
here's the deal, making just a $200 payment on that 10,000 is going to bring you all the way down to only 85 months to pay it off. Now, that's still a lot of time and a lot of money that you're giving over an interest to, a bank or whoever.
Credit card. Yeah.
So keep that in mind, but it is significantly better than just paying off that minimum balance. I mean, you took what is 85 months? What, 7 years?
A little over 7 years.
7, yes, somewhere around 7 years.
Mhm.
And,
Maybe.
so much better than 30 plus.
Mhm.
You've cut your interest from 19,000, whatever it was, down to 6,800. Again, still a lot of money to be paying in interest on 10,000, but much, much better scenario. What if you had done 250 or 300, or, you know, the whole point of this whole thing is to get to a point where you're not paying interest at all. You're paying off that credit card every month when it comes in.
Mhm. Yeah.
But so, what is our moral to this story? I
I
think
love
you
it.
can
Yeah.
probably guess.
Never spend your money before you have it. So the secret is, if you don't have cash and you just want to use, then don't buy it. And if you do have the cash, then it's great that you use their money for a month and you go ahead and you pay the bill in full. But if you can't pay for your purchases when the bill comes in, then you really don't need it.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, credit cards can be fantastic tools. And again, that should be what it is. It's a tool. It's not something to pay for something just because you want it. Uh, do I?
Yeah, no.
It's all about, if you see a great pair of shoes and you have it in your budget, then fine. That's not a problem. When that bill comes in at the end of the month or whenever your credit card bill shows up, you
Mhm,
pay it off. But it is not there for you to go, you know what? I just want it because I want it.
mhm,
And that's how you start getting in trouble. And then, as we mentioned before, part of the reason credit cards just never, get paid off, never get to a zero balance, is because people never stop charging. They may make up some ground, but they're still charging at the same time. And so it's just a process that starts over and over and over.
And what happens when you do have a good pay and you're paying the minimum or a little bit more, the credit card companies tend to extend you more credit.
Yes.
And so it's like, oh, wow, I got $2,000 more, not realizing it is a trap for you because you're showing you can pay it, but you're not showing that you can pay it off. So
Absolutely.
they like the interest, but it's not in your best interest to use
Well,
credit cards that way.
they want to make money.
Yeah.
And if they give you more credit and you go spend it, that's just more money that they're collecting interest on. And it's a vicious cycle that you can get into, and it's hard to get out of it once you are in it.
And the other side is it's less money you have to save and invest for yourself, paying yourself first and your future.
Yes.
So it is a decision. We're hoping we educate you in reference to how you use your money and why that using the credit card, if you use it as a tool to buy something and you know it's going to pay it off when you go ahead and get the bill, that's great. If not, look for some 0% interest programs out there
Right.
and transfer it. But that doesn't mean you go back to use the $10,000 credit card.
Exactly.
I want to see a picture of you snipping up the cards or folding them away because you'll just repeat the scenario, and we'll be having this conversation in a year again.
Or in 10 years or 20 years.
10
I mean,
years, yeah, and you'll say, I heard you.
mhm. It's tough, but it is worth it in the end if you can get out of that cycle. It is so much more, uh, just imagine what you could pay yourself if you were taking that money that you're paying somebody else and you use that money to pay yourself,
Mhm.
you could probably retire early, if, and in all honesty. And, you're your priority. You should be doing what's best for you. And so, go look in your closet, look at those items. Are they really worth that extra money to somebody else?
Mhm.
So, remember, compounding interest is a great thing, but it can work both directions. And this is a great example of how it can work against you.
Right.
So, but tune in with us next week because
Yes.
we are actually going to talk about the great side of compounding interest.
And I think that maybe even be more exciting for you when you can see how that actually works and help you look at your bills and say, what can I do? Where can I be more aggressive? Because, oh my gosh, that is really great on the other side. How did I not know how it works? So
Absolutely.
we're going to help you understand that
Yes.
next
Yeah. I
week.
mean, if you look at those numbers and how great they were for the credit card company, that could
Thank-
be you.
That's
So,
right.
so tune in with us next week because we are going to talk about that great tool and strategy that you can use for yourself. And hope that you will take a lesson from this. And maybe if you are paying off only minimum credit card balances, at the very least, bump it up. Get those things paid off. Stop using that card. Look at what you can do. Sit down with that budget. Figure out, get those things paid off. Stop paying somebody else.
And this is actually a great video to share with your kids, your college kids, anyone that you know that you look at them and say, how are they doing this? It doesn't hurt. It's not you're saying it, it's saying, oh my God, these two gals here were talking about credit cards. I didn't know, and I thought maybe you should know. So this would be a great video to share
Mhm.
and softly broach a subject that people don't want to talk about.
Well, and remember on your credit card statement now, they're required to actually put that little chart on that first page that kind of gives you an idea, how long it will take and how much you'll pay if you pay minimum only.
Right.
And then I think they give you a number based off what your balance is to do 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's across the board or that's just my credit card company seems to do that.
I never
But
looked to pay it off, but I don't know that the people that get it even pay attention to it because they don't want to know. So
right,
we're helping you say this is something that you need to know.
right. Well,
And
remember, this is your life. And
and
you
your
know,
money,
yes, it's your money, it's your life, and you need to put yourself first. You need to make yourself a priority here. Stop giving money away to others. They don't need any more. Trust me, they have plenty.
so on that note, we're not going to spend any more of our time. We're going to help you hopefully limit your spending so you can put it into your investments and your savings and peace of mind. And we'll address compounding interest on the flip side next
That's
week.
right.
We'll
So
see you then.
that's right. Tune in next week, and we will see you Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Time.
Yes.
Have a great
Bye.
day, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye bye.